This system is built to amaze on day one and continuously improve over the generation ahead.
Just so you all know, he is coming back. What's up, everybody? Hope you're all doing well. So, the unexpected has happened. Cyberpunk 2077 has actually released. As of right now, I've currently put around 20 hours of time into it so far. With a game of this scale, I'm going to need way more time to even think about releasing a full review. So here I am just giving you guys a first initial impressions, if you like, that I've gathered so far in my time. So obviously if you've seen the title, you probably know where this is going. I've been playing it on the original Xbox One, and despite making every necessary adjustment into my TV settings, Xbox settings, graphical options in game, I also bought myself a new HDMI cable. For those of you tech nerds, it's a 2.1 model, 2 meters. It can run 8K at 60Hz and 4K at 120Hz at a speed of about 48 gigabytes per second. And yet, it doesn't look any different. As a matter of fact, it actually looks worse because I've been having these pixel flickering issues on my Xbox for quite some time. And it runs rampant in Night City. Pop-ins happening very frequently, textures taking an age to load in, and lots of graphical bugs. Which, for the record, most of the time I don't really mind, as long as it's not happening at key moments when the game wants me to pay attention. But if I'm just driving down the road and my car goes 100 feet in the air, that doesn't really bother me. In all fairness, that probably adds one additional point.
I'm trying my best to hold it in. Shagging! Fuck off!
And as for those infamous pictures you've probably all seen, personally, I haven't encountered that caliber of horror, but who's to say I will soon, so I'm bracing myself for that. Now, when it comes to making a full review, I'm going to have a very hard time picking out the best looking shots over the hours of gameplay I capture, but here, it's not too much of a big deal. So if you can't bear to look anymore, by all means, open another tab and just listen to my soothing voice, okay? So no harm intended. The frame rate, I would guess probably about 80% of my time playing, I'm running no higher than 25 FPS. It tends to work well at its maximum during conversations and cutscenes, but once you get out in the open world, all hell starts breaking loose. It makes activities like driving somewhat of a challenge. It really dips during combat sections, which really zaps the fun out of that. I've crashed twice, and I've had a total of about 5-6 freezes where it just stops completely for about 15 seconds and then eventually comes back. Lots of loading screens. The cursor for the UI is very unresponsive, and it makes the already complex UI system even harder to navigate. And just the simple things like walking down the street, it causes lots of stuttering. It's very hard to get immersed into the game when this is happening a lot. And this isn't just happening a bit, it's not just a little bump here and there, it's happening for the majority of your play session. And it's something I'm never willing to get used to. Now, before I continue, I do want to add this, that I did somewhat see this coming. Not to the extent or magnitude like we find ourselves in now, but I think there was a couple of things I pieced together before. Like, we didn't see any gameplay from the older consoles leading up to the release. And specifically, when they delayed it to December 10th, the last delay, they kind of did blow the horn a little bit in their PR message, stating that they were having trouble with all the ports on all the different platforms. What was interesting to me was that we had a similar situation when The Witcher 3 came out. For those of you that remember, there was a graphical downgrade controversy that was surrounding the game when it came out. And CD Projekt's response to this was, because of the limited resources available for the Xbox One and PlayStation 4, and they didn't have the time to process most of the capabilities over to the PC version. So many PC players were quite upset that the platform hadn't been given the full treatment that initially were shown during the marketing. Whereas with Cyberpunk, they've done a full 180. They've shared more stability and responsiveness on the PC and new-gen consoles, and the older hardware has been left for dead. Now, ultimately, am I kind of pissed? Yes, I am, I can't lie. It's an obvious showing that we can't find an even playing field. I'm currently right now on the hunt for a Series X. I think the necessary steps I'll be taking is let the Christmas period blow over, and then I'll come out when everyone's finished purchasing their holiday gifts. So it could be a while. Now, I still condemn the state that this game is in on old gen, But at the same time, I can't really argue favoring new tech as well. I think, to be honest, it's great that there's a game out there that has taken full advantage of the newest capabilities and they've put them on full blast no more than a month after the new gen consoles have released. The new consoles have already been given good value, way quicker than the PS4 and Xbox One did back in their time. Now, another thing I'd like to share is a lot of the time when I buy myself a new game, I do like to watch other people's gameplay. Not reviews necessarily, just like their raw gameplay. I like to see how they approach certain scenarios. It may give me some ideas or gameplay tips because I'm a sucker for those kind of things. And I enjoy the reactions they express. Now, for these people that are playing Cyberpunk on higher powered platforms, I've got no interest in watching you. I was watching a stream of a dear friend of mine, Quark007. I was watching his PS5 stream and I clicked off after about 3 or 4 minutes. Evan, I'm sorry, I love you, man, but I just started losing it. It was like the ultimate blue balls or cuckold tied to a chair. I felt like I was being flexed on, being teased of this surreal experience that was kind of like one of those morning routine videos where everybody has it together and stops at absolutely nothing. And then I go load my game up, and I feel like I'm just being given the full peasant treatment. I get spat on, they hand me a shovel and go, start digging. The fallout for this game has been intense. People are cutting corners on how things should have been handled, such as they shouldn't have released it on last gen. The people who got to review the game early have been getting a lot of slack for not being as honest, which I think we've learned that is quite unlikely to change in the future. And some people have actually had the nerve to say, the game probably should have been delayed, I think. That would have made sense. You have some balls on you. Like, you have to say that out loud to notice that. Good. I'm proud of you. Take a knee. I mentioned a minute ago that the new consoles already have good value, because after 20 hours, I can say that underneath all this BS, no pun intended, there is potentially a marvel of a video game waiting to blow you away. So I want to talk a few positives. First person. In terms of the gameplay aspect, that was my biggest concern. Knowing how CD Projekt usually make their games, I wondered if they were stepping into too unfamiliar territory, and I didn't know if they could execute it as well. And even though I heard from people who'd got hands-on at E3 or any other closed-door session that it did play really good, I just needed to know for myself. And I must say, first person actually feels appropriate. The gunplay, right off the bat, does feel very basic, but as time goes on, you start to discover that there's more depth. There's plenty of variety of weaponry. They all have different behaviors, like shooting through cover and ricocheting. There's attachments you can add. There's the cyberware system, which is essentially perks. Before you engage in combat, you can observe the area with your scanner to plan out how you wish to approach it. You can distract enemies, you can scan for all targets, and you'll be earning new abilities as you progress, and that will bring out more possibilities. Enemy AI is really good. I'm playing on normal difficulty, and they're not pushovers. They flank, they charge, they retreat, and they change cover. And you always hear them coordinate with each other. And most importantly, it feels good. When it's working, of course. The only nitpick I really have is because of the constant stutter, it makes the enemy health bars quite hard to see at times, and I've had several moments when I've stopped shooting because I think I've done enough, but I really haven't. The storyline aspect I've played so far has been pretty good. The dialogue is much better than Valhalla's, that's for sure. The acting is pretty solid, lots of interesting characters, and as of right now, I've not noticed a lot of the RPG element coming into play. Like, there's lots of dialogue options, but nothing major, but perhaps that's for later on. The side content, there is lots of it to lose yourself in, and they're not your typical throwaway chores. They have multiple missions within these related jobs, like retrieving cars, defeating these cyber psychos that are like little mini bosses. You can earn street credit for just cleaning out criminal activity, and way more. And I'm only 20 hours in, people, and I feel like I'm only scratching the surface with this experience. There is something special here, and please do not get this user score on Metacritic twisted. I understand that people that are doing these review bombs are trying to get like a message across, but it completely unjustifies what is hiding beneath. That right now feels just out of reach. And I would be comfortable right now to recommend this game to you if you have a next generation console or a PC. If you're still on older hardware, man, I hate to say it, but I don't think you should buy it. I don't know when I'll be making my upgrade, but I can guess by the time I do, I would have experienced most of what the game has to offer. And despite, I'll have my new console, I'll be finally able to experience it in its full beauty, but that element of surprise would have surpassed, and it just won't be as impactful. So, if you have held off purchasing, please do, and wait for the game to either be fixed or until you've upgraded, because I always make a big deal of how it feels to play the game for the first time, and I think you should really save up for the best experience you can have when you, put down all the details on what's best for you, and you'll make the right call, I'm sure. Now, initially, I always believed that this game was going to have some problems at launch, but I still thought that the positives would have just swept them aside. I had, my intro to my review, I had it all planned out. I was going to say an opening statement along the lines of something like, oh, it was worth all the wait, it's simply a masterclass, and I just put a poetic feel to it, if you like. And then I would drop the opening beat of the song Midnight City by M83, and I wouldn't give a rat's ass if it had got copyrighted. Cyberpunk is here, baby. But it's just not the case. And it sucks, man. It really does. I genuinely love it when just amazing games come out and everybody is enjoying themselves. It sounds so strange saying this. I don't know. I sound like a president or something, but it just wasn't meant to be, man. And eventually this game will be, I think, the game we were promised, but only time will tell on how long that will be. But anyways, I'm going to get back to playing the game now. I'm going to be preparing for my full review, which I hope to get out before the year is out. And I hope you're all keeping well, all set for Christmas, all that good stuff. So you people take it easy, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.